Wexford's Billy Edwards, who had trigger finger. It was trigger finger surgery through healthcare abroad, so he could keep playing his guitar. And I'm joined by Paul Byrne as well, who's going to shed some light on this too. Good morning to you, Billy. You're very welcome.
Hi, Alan.
So, and good morning to you, Paul. How are you?
Good morning, Alan. How are you? Thanks for having me on. Hope you're well.
Right, you're the CEO of Healthcare Abroad, and I'll come to you in just a second. But,
no problem.
You tell me your story first off, Billy, because when I had a bad fall there out running last year, I still have a bit of trigger finger myself, but trigger thumb at the moment. It's not causing me too much hassle. It won't be hurting anytime soon, though. What happened to you, Billy?
I started the hands started to freeze up and locking. The fingers started to lock. And it got progressively worse and worse till I could no longer play. And a friend of mine said, you want to get that seen by a doctor? And so the doctor had a look and she said, the only way we're going to fix that is with a bit of surgery. So we said, we'll put you down, I'll get you a consultant. And I didn't hear anything then. I got a letter then to say that I was on the waiting list. And when I rang them up, they said the average waiting time was 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah. And can you imagine being, like, as a professional guitar player, 3 years out of the game is a lot,
So when did you first hear about healthcare abroad then that could speed up the process?
Well, I was speaking to a friend of mine who's is out in Spain, and they said, had I heard about it? And I hadn't heard a word about it. And they said, why don't you go to them? They do a lot of hips and for people in Ireland and knee replacements, that sort of thing. And why wouldn't you give them a ring and see what the story is? And I emailed them, and a couple of days later, they emailed me back and said, yeah, it'd be perfect.
Within a couple of days?
Within a couple of days.
Okay.
And I started, and I said, yes, we'll go ahead. And they do everything for you. You really, literally don't have to do very much yourself at all.
I want to bring Paul into the equation, Paul. So you are CEO of Healthcare Abroad. So actually, how does it work? Because do you pay for the service and then the HSE reimburses you, Paul? Maybe you'd like to take us through Healthcare Abroad, how it's helping Irish patients, please.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Yeah, in fact, it's a very, very simple process, which is, most people find that quite surprising considering the battle that most people have with the health service here in Ireland. So there's a scheme there called the EU Cross-Border Directive, okay, and what it more or less says is that any patient or person living in Ireland for 12 months or more and has a PPS number is entitled to leave the Irish public health system and travel to a private health setting in one of the other 27 member states of the European Union. What we do, we're a private company and we sit between the HSE, the patient, and we represent 86 private hospitals across Europe. Now, the majority of our hospitals are in Spain, and the reason behind that is Spain is such a good healthcare system. It's number 3 in Europe and number 7 in the world. And like Billy says, and I'm delighted he's back playing the guitar, like he says, we do try and make it very, very simple. So there's only 2 things really a patient has to do when they travel with us. One is they have to book their own flights, and secondly, they have to have the funds in place to pay for their surgery when they arrive in Spain. So they will pay the hospital directly, and then the HSE will refund directly to them. Now,
in how long? Because with money so tight at the moment, and Billy can share his own, but on average, how long does it take for you to get your money back from the HSE?
So it takes the HSE 4 months. 16 weeks is how long you'll be waiting. And as Billy would probably admit there as well, we wouldn't have this option for patients if it wasn't for the credit union. I know David McGuire in Wexford Credit Union was very helpful towards Billy and many other patients. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the the credit union, 90% of our patients would use the credit union. The credit union generally are very good at lending these funds to patients because they know they're going to get it back from the HSE. Again, we help with that process. The patient will have to apply for the loan themselves, but we help that process. We also engage with the GP here in Ireland as well, so we'll get any relative information, scans, reports, documents, wherever we can. We will share that with the attending attending consultant surgeon in Spain. When the patient arrives in Spain, then we'll pick them up at the airport. We'll bring them from the airport to one of our partner hotels, again, trying to keep the costs down there, because the way the scheme works, Alan, the HSE will not refund your travel costs, but they will refund 100% of all your surgical and clinical costs. So everything to do with the hospital, they will refund you. So in relation to the hotels, I mean, we have 4-star hotels that are €95 per night for 2 people, including breakfast. It's a really good deal. Again, we're keeping the hotels busy 12 months of the year. So everything, as Billy says, we try and hold their hand, look after the patient. We have carers and drivers on the ground there. We have a good team that look after our patients. We bring them from the hotel to the hospital, back and forth for all their appointments. We organise.
And we are, Paul, getting quite a lot of reaction on this from listeners who have actually benefited from the system as well. Just, Billy, can you talk me through your own experience then? So you went to Spain.
It was literally fantastic. You get on.
Was it?
Yep, get onto the plane. You mess off the plane. They take your bags into the hotel. They get you booked in. The very next morning, they pick you up really early, or whatever time your appointment is, leave you, they'll wait for you or go off, and then they'll come back for you and drop you back and forth. You literally don't have to do anything.
And did you go? Did you bring someone with you?
I didn't.
You just went solo?
It was, I suppose I might have if it was maybe a knee replacement or something like that, but this is a hand operation. I didn't really need anybody.
And how soon after you had the operation, and assume by the time you got home, you got back to playing your beloved guitar again?
Well, I've started this week, so it would have been 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and it's now. It's slowly. It's all. It was the guy, the surgeon said, and the physiotherapist said, normally it's 12 to 16 weeks. You know.
Yeah, 12 to 16 weeks. Paul, the support of patients like Billy went across on his own. Do you keep in touch with them during the treatment abroad, especially if it's the first time travelling for surgery?
We do indeed. So we sort of, like I say, we sort of hold the patient's hand. As Billy said, we pick them up at the airport, bring them to the hotel. We have all their appointments organised. We pick them up in the lobby of the hotel 15, 20 minutes before each appointment. Yeah. We bring them from there to the hospital. We go into the hospital with them. We have hospital liaison officers. All the surgeons speak perfect English. The nurses are about 50-50, if I'm honest, but, you know, the Spanish nurses and English is their second language, so there's rarely a breakdown in communication. Our team are always on the ground. They work from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. In the hotels as well, and Billy would probably explain it to you as well, that there will be other patients there, you know, and the Irish are great for supporting each other. So there could be 10, 15 patients,
as I said,
depending on where you go.
Yeah, we're getting immediate traction on this. Mag is joining me from Ballymurn. Good morning to you, Mag. How are you?
Morning, Alan. How are you? How are you, Paul?
Lovely to talk to you.
Hi, Mag. How are you?
And you can say hello to Billy as well, Mag.
Hi, Mag.
Hi, Billy. I'm delighted that your operation went so well.
Now, tell me about your situation. You've been over for a hip transplant, or what happened? Or hip replacement,
I was having, like yourself, I was a runner, Alan. I was having ongoing problems. I was falling while I was out running. I went to Sean Collier, and Sean was my physio, and he could see that there was a big problem. Had an MRI, and it showed that I need a hip replacement. My consultant in Ireland was very reluctant to give me a hip replacement. She said I was too young. At this stage, I was only 48. I was having problems walking, had to give up most of my exercise.
Yeah.
Found healthcare abroad. I actually didn't believe that it was actually true, but it was. They sorted everything for me. Everything was so easy from the minute I entered Dublin Airport till I got to the far side in Alicante. I had to travel on my own, which was a bit nerve-wracking, but they assured me that everything was going to be okay, and it was. So fast forward, and anyway, I had my surgery, got my full refund from the HSE within 7 weeks. And now I'm heading back this October because my other hip needs a full replacement also, and I'm going back to Spain.
It's a wonderful story. I'm going to have to take a short commercial break and round off the conversation with Billy and Paul. And I know you're going to work, Mag, but there you are. You're proof positive, aren't you, that it works for you?
Absolutely. Right. If there's anybody even thinking about it, just go for it, because it's just a complete change of life. And I'm just looking so forward to having my second one done and getting back to my activities.
All right. Thank you for taking our call. I'm actually going to have to wrap it because I've got to go to Garda Síochána now in just a second. Paul, just a quick comment from you. Thank you so much, Mag.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Good morning to you, Mag. Paul, just a quick comment from you how people can access more information on this, please.
Yeah, straight up, they can just go onto our website, www.healthcareabroad.ie, or they can phone us on a Dublin number, 01267808011. And again, you'll talk to one of the team, and we'll look after them. We'll bring them through the whole process. We also do all the paperwork and everything for them back to the HSE, so literally we make it as smooth and as easy, Alan, as we can for our patients, you know. So if there's anyone out there we can help, look, give us a call. But just another thing to note, Alan, I know you're in a rush there, but there's no charge for our services either, okay? So we because we bring these private hospitals patients, so the costs that we give you for your hip or your knee or your trigger finger or bariatric surgery or hernia, gallbladder, they're fully covered. So there's no hidden costs from us whatsoever. You know, we represent private hospitals, so we're like their sales and marketing team. You know, so people get onto us. We'd love to be able to help people, and there is a lot of people out there that don't realise it's not known enough. It really isn't. So the more people we can help, obviously, it's helping people that don't want to travel here in Ireland, because then those people get bumped up the waiting list. So it's a win-win for everyone, you know.
Thank you, Paul. Now, what I will do, because I want to give Garda Síochána ample time to get their points across, so I'm just going to come back to Billy after a short break to bring us up to the news, to see where you are now, because I'm going to invite you to come in and play the guitar at some stage first. See what sort of a quality guitar. After this operation, I expect you to be on a par with Slash from Guns N' Roses. All right?
No problem, yeah.
Part 2 of the morning mix, but it would be unfair for me to let Billy Edwards leave the studio without actually talking to him a little bit about himself as well, because Billy, obviously music and playing music is very much part of your life, and to have had that taken away from you must have been a huge loss, and now it's back.
And now it's back, yeah. You know, like, for any musician, COVID hit us hard. We were the first out, we were the last back, and it wasn't long after that, after coming back, that, I was out again, and it's impossible to play with one hand, broken, you know.
And the type of music you play there, you mentioned the Bushers, who would know very well, Ger and those,
Ger and his brother Jimmy, well, we did a lot of weddings, we used to do a huge amount. I played with the Backbeats for 10 years, rock and roll, old-style rock and roll, rockabilly, and I gig solo as well, just myself.
Yeah. And you are very much, your folks are from Wexford, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Where did you spend most of your life?
From 0 to 16, I was in London. Dad was from Wexford Town, Mum is from Dunleary. And we moved back in the late 70s, 77, 78. And we decided to move to Wexford. Move home to Wexford, And
did you work elsewhere,
perhaps? Oh, yeah. I trained to be a chef, and worked in the county hotel when it was up there, and out in Dublin and in Germany and Royal Starlight and Bray. And eventually I said, this is not really what I want to do, and went full-time into the music then, sort of mid-80s.
Yeah.
And...
it's nice. It would have been unfair not to sort of look at your own journey. But now, can we just round off our conversation?
Absolutely.
For the benefit of people who may not have heard what you said, this wonderful service, Healthcare Abroad, which you highly recommend, and you have been recompensed, have you, the money?
It's on the way. I'd say I'll get it in the next week or two. Normally, as David says, they say 16 weeks, but as Mag said, she had hers back in 7. I'm expecting mine to be around 7 or 8 weeks as well. Yeah.
But listening to both you and Mag is very reassuring, because time is precious for people, and maybe it might be impossible for somebody to go with you. And look at the list of procedures that Paul mentioned to us as well.
It's fabulous, and they really do take care of everything. And there's someone there, they're so friendly, they all speak English, the surgeons, the nurses, the management that they have there. They walked us through on the way back. We didn't have to wait very long at all. We sort of skipped the queues and just went straight onto the back of the airplane. So we're taken from the back of the airplane straight back.
Yeah, and the work is fantastic, because you can't see any stitches anywhere.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I've never met, such professionalism,
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Billy.
You're welcome, man.
You will come back and play for us at some stage.
Absolutely, yeah.
We normally do a little bit of live music on a Friday to liven people up and get them in the mood for a weekend. So in a few weeks' time, when you're back fully playing,
that's good.
Lucinda will be in touch, and you'll join us in studio and have a tune, and maybe Ger Busher might come in with you.
He might do.
Yeah, he'd be very, very welcome as well. That's a nice one.